Hey, today
like them.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Today on Check. I've never done an opener before. Today on Trekcast, Daniel brings us the news. I read your feedback, and Dan makes fun of it all. We talk about Michael Chabon's three-way and more. Welcome to Trekcast, the galaxy's most unpredictable Star Trek podcast. It's episode 275, Sunday, March 14th. Gentlemen, it feels like it's been longer than a week. It's only been a week since our last show, but for whatever reason, it feels like it's been like 2 weeks. A lot of things have happened news-wise that we can go over today. It's going to be fun, and we're going to have some shit to make fun of.
My wife said, didn't you do the podcast last week? And I said, yeah. She said, I thought you guys were every other week. And I kind of went like, I gave her that shrugging face. And she said, and I quote, so Chad's fucking shit up again.
I like that Chad gets the blame.
I love it.
When it was
she knows he's wrong about everything, so she just assumes that.
I love it. That's awesome.
I mean, yeah. Well, should we get to the news?
Yeah, let's just go right for it. Since Dan's eating, let's go right to the news. Hold on, I even have this thing we can play.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Attention all hands, it's time for Star Trek news.
All right. So I've got quite a bit of news stories, and they're all Star Trek related.
Oh,
it's a miracle.
It is a miracle. Holy crap.
Yeah. So our first news story comes to us from denofgeek.com, and the headline is, will Star Trek Strange New Worlds cast more characters from the cage? So they recently announced 5 new characters, or 5 new actors for the Strange New Worlds show. They've also announced that they are in production now. So that's great. If you watch the little video, that's pretty fun. It's all on a Zoom call. Yeah. So it's all from everybody's house. Anson Mount looks like he's going to read poetry. And Hipster Spock looks like he just rolled out of bed with his complete bedhead. It's great.
He could not have been any more high energy for that. There's no way.
Oh, I thought you were going to just say hi.
No. Well, yeah, that too. Maybe that's what the problem was. He was just, he is Hipster Spock. He is living out his dream of being Hipster Spock. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Well, so Anson Mount has a podcast, The Well, and he did an interview with Hipster Spock back in the day. And they wouldn't shut up about sushi and how much they both love it. So, yeah, he is Hipster Spock.
The problem with that podcast, The Well, okay, is that episode is about that's by his best episode, the one he has with Hipster Spock. That's his best episode. And it's not that great. And the rest of it is kind of hard to listen to. I tried. I've really honestly tried because I like the guy. The guy seems like every once in a while you kind of hear someone talk and they're just being themselves, and you're kind of like, yeah, you know what? I could actually get along with that guy. And I feel like that's the way I feel about Anson Mount. And I love his portrayal of Pike, but that only goes so far as what has been written for him. I mean, I've tried to listen to that podcast, but whatever.
Oh, see, and I like it, but whatever.
Yeah, to each their own. It's fine. You and I, it is possible, Daniel, for you and I to disagree over something.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally fine.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, I thought you guys were always synced up, especially when it comes to politics.
I mean, I don't like gummy bears, and I know...
What is this? We had this conversation 2 weeks ago that we were going to keep politics out of it. I have kept my mouth shut, but you two keep saying things.
Exactly. Well, I just said I don't like gummy bears.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. It's like, wait, is gummy bears code for something? I don't know.
Well, you haven't read the QAnon conspiracy pages. No, I don't know. I'm making that up.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, God. Don't start. Don't start.
Yeah. Anyways, so one of the things people are mentioning, though, is one of the actresses looks a lot like a character from the Cage. People are saying that she looks a lot like a yeoman J.M. Colt. She's a little like redhead member in the Cage, who's like prominently featured, but not like doesn't really have a big role, you know. So
I think she was the young yeoman, and I think there was supposed to be some tension between her and Number One because Number One had a thing for Pike, and you had the young yeoman who Pike had eyes for her, and I think they were setting something up there that never became anything because it was a pilot that wasn't picked up.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Pike was replaced, but yeah.
Yeah.
And
I guess we'll see that.
I don't think they'll have Rebecca Romaine Stamos and Anson Mount have a thing. I think they'll have hipster Spock and Rebecca Romaine have a thing. They already set that up.
I mean,
in
why
Short
not?
Trek. They like to sing together, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait for karaoke night on the Enterprise.
Oh man. That was probably one of the funnest parts of Lower Decks was when they all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, they're up on stage doing talent shows and they have a metal band. Like that was hysterical.
That is true. Yeah, that was pretty good. Also, we've got, according to TrekMovie.com, we've got an update on Nicholas Meyer's pitch to Paramount. So remember we were talking about this a while back, that Nicholas Meyer, the writer of Wrath of Khan, was working on a made-for-TV movie, potentially. Well, we got an update on that. He basically said that with the merger of CBS and Viacom back into one entity, that put a lot of things on hold, especially now that it was Viacom or Paramount had the rights to the movies, but CBS had the rights to the TV show, and so they weren't sure what they were going to do, and so it kind of like paused a lot of things.
Yeah.
But now that the merger's complete and they're now to Paramount Plus and all that, things can move forward again, and he has confidence it'll go through. One of the things I thought was interesting is they talk about when he first wrote Wrath of Khan, he wrote it in 1982, but when he first got hired, he knew nothing about Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was just like, well, I'm just a guy and I'm going to write this thing, so here we go. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. Also speaking about CBS, this is from comicbook.com. The creators of Star Trek Prodigy sign an overall deal with CBS. So it's a pair of brothers, Kevin and Dan Hagman. They're Emmy award-winning writers. They worked on the Trolls, Troll Hunter TV show, Ninjago, Hotel Transylvania. They worked on a lot of stuff, a lot of kids stuff. So these guys are great for Prodigy. They signed an overall deal. Don't know how much it is. We know it's a multi-year deal though, and doesn't necessarily mean it's just Star Trek. They could be producing other shows too for CBS, or movies. They are currently working on a sequel to Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. That was the Guillermo del Toro movie from 2019, back when the world was normal.
Yeah.
And they are currently working on a Ryan Reynolds starring Dragon's Lair, if you remember that arcade game. Yeah, they're making a movie of that.
Ryan Reynolds, I like that.
Ryan Reynolds, yes. Yeah, with his Minty Mobile.
Yep. Minty Mobile.
Next news story comes to us from Collider, and we are getting some interesting news. You have my sound effect, right? The sound I asked you to pull. Don't play it just yet. I'll call.
I got it.
Yeah. Okay. So
I don't know how appropriate it is, but I got it.
Yeah. We are hearing from Wesley Snipes because he's out promoting Coming to America, the Coming to America sequel, and he is talking about how he did audition for Geordie LaForge, and he got pretty high up in the audition process. He says,
"Thank the Lord,"
but ultimately it went to LeVar. Yeah. And he says, everything happens for a reason, and he's glad that LeVar got it and it worked out for LeVar, but he did get pretty high up, and it was disappointing that he didn't get it. And so this entire week, I've been thinking about what it would be like if Picard had to call down to engineering and say, Geordie, fix the engines, we got to get out of here. And Geordie says,
some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Was that loud enough? Or
that was loud enough. That was great.
I think TNG's a little too clean cut for our boy Wesley Snipes, let alone the tax issues he's had in his last 25 years. But
oh man, well, and he's like a martial artist, right? So him fighting the Borg would have been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see the fit. I mean, it'd be cool, right? But I just don't see the fit overall.
No.
Just even his personality.
No,
Could you imagine him and Michael Dorn getting into a fight?
I want to see him on Reading Rainbow. That's what I want to see. Wesley Snipes reading the kids.
Children, let me sit y'all down. Let me explain you something, okay? This white powder is how you make money.
You don't. You don't do voices. Remember, you don't do voices.
I wasn't even trying.
Chad, we've discussed this, buddy. We've discussed this.
And our last news story comes to us from page6.com. And Dan, this might benefit you even.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah. Grandpa is celebrating his 90th birthday, William Shatner. And he is going to be at Ticonderoga, that Enterprise experience.
Ticonderoga?
The one that's, like an hour from your house. Yeah. They are.
It's Ticonderoga.
Ticonderoga, yeah. And there's a dinner, there's a tour. You can get an autograph and a picture with him for the low price of $1,500.
Oh.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. Sign us all three up.
Sorry.
That's pocket change.
Yeah. So it's going to be in July.
You know what? I'm going to talk to the wife. There's a Biden check coming.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh-oh. Lost Chad.
No, lost you.
I got you both.
Well, that's all that's important.
Were you was he was Dan choppy there for a second for you, Daniel? And then
for a second.
Okay, so
yeah,
just trying to figure out where it's coming from. But
yeah.
So
now Chad's on the other side.
I don't know, man.
That's probably your connection.
So like the VIP thing is $1,500. General admission is $50. They don't say what the difference is for general admission. Maybe you just take the tour, and they're hoping to do this in July and hoping that it'll be a maskless event at that point.
A masochist event?
Maskless.
Okay. I'm just repeating what I heard.
Really? You didn't do the Sweet Jesus bit for the Sweet Jesus soundbite for that?
I know, right? Yeah.
Well, and maybe a lot of people will wind up going because they'll have that Biden money at that point. Some people are getting it this weekend apparently. So
yeah,
I had the clip. Since I can't do voices, I kind of want to play the clip, but I don't have it ready. The hey, day, baby, I got your money, don't you?
There you go.
Oh my God, we have to make that song except change it to Biden's got your money.
Yeah.
Biden's got your money.
Yep.
Biden bucks.
Biden bucks.
There you go.
Biden bucks.
So there we go. So $1,500. I mean, yeah, there goes your whole stimulus check right there.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that's all the news.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll move right on into the feedback.
Hailing frequencies. Open.
Okay. So on the feedback side of things, I'll start with the coffee account. And Daniel, you tell me, there's two different colors that are showing up now on people's donations. There's the normal blue one, which has always been there. Then every once in a while, it goes to like a tan, and now all of a sudden a purple is showing up. Has any of that got to do with reoccurring versus just a one-time thing, or what? Is there any way to tell that on our end, or is that only on your end if you can see if someone signed up for a reoccurring?
I haven't even looked into it.
Okay, never mind.
It's probably recurring.
Yeah. So no worries. Okay, so our first 6 days ago from Scott Strongbeard Bouders, he sent us in a donation. Thank you, Scott. And he says, hey, just didn't want you guys to forget about me. So, no, we could never forget about you, Strongbeard. No, of course not.
Forget about me now.
Don't you? Okay.
Yeah,
I could sing. I won't do it. I'll spare you your ears. Then we got another donation just a day ago from Mike Quigley. Am I being funny, or I don't recognize that name. That must be a new one.
I don't either.
So,
yeah, that's
very
new.
much appreciated, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
and
guys.
then, of course, we can always count on Daryl giving us two posts back to back. So one was 6 hours ago, one was 5 hours ago. He apparently could not sleep during the time change. So his first one says, What first contact species would you guys pick for Starfleet for non-Star Trek aliens? What first contact species would you guys pick for Starfleet for non-Star? Okay. Mine would be the Melmacians from the planet Melmac. Better hide the cats. Alf Gordo as ambassador. Okay.
Okay.
So alien race outside of Trek, that would be a good first contact species outside of the replacing the Vulcans. That's what his question is. So, let's think about that for a second.
No, I don't think he means replacing the Vulcans. I think he's talking about what aliens outside of Star Trek would you have
throw in?
The Federation make first contact
okay.
with?
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever Drax the Destroyer is, just because he has no sense of like irony, that would be hilarious.
Nothing goes over my head. I would jump up and catch
Exactly.
it. That's not a bad impression, right, of Batista?
Oh, somebody wants validation this morning.
No, I need no validation apparently because I can come on here and take punishment from you two and still come back for more.
There you go. Oh, that's what he's into.
That's where the word masochist comes from. Anyway, yeah, no, that wouldn't be too bad. Alien, like the actual alien, like what would happen if the Federation came across aliens? The actual xenomorphs.
Oh, they'd all die.
Yeah, I think the Federation would probably wind up dying because they'd think about it too much.
So, can we talk to it?
No,
just kill it.
No, you literally just have to kill it, all of it, every last bit.
But it has a right to exist.
That's right.
That's what somebody would say. It has a right to exist.
And Wesley will try to create a planet for it somewhere. And so, Daniel, what do you think? Or Dan, I mean, because Daniel, you already said.
The Drax people.
I don't know what his race is. What is his species?
They say it once, but I don't remember what it is.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The Tanktonese.
The what?
Come on. Daniel knows. Do you know? Tanktonese? No?
No, sorry, I was taking my pills.
Welcome to Pillcast, ladies and gentlemen, where Daniel always comes on and takes his pills.
They were also known as newcomers on Alien Nation. Do you remember Alien Nation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
James Caan. Yeah. I like that show. I like that movie. I like that show. Yeah, I don't know if it holds up, but
Not really.
I know years ago there was talk of them rebooting that, and I was really looking forward to that, and it kind of out. But I was thinking about them this morning because when we get into our topic, I'll probably circle back to them. But there was something about that show that stood out as I was reading the nonsense that you guys sent me to read to prepare for the show. But yeah, for anyone who doesn't remember Alien Nation, it was a mid '80s movie with James Caan and Mandy Patinkin, which then became a series. It only lasted one season. It was on Fox when Fox was brand new.
It was
one season, and and then there were four made-for-TV movies a few years later that tied up a lot of the storylines.
I thought there was a little bit more to it than that, but yeah, okay. That makes sense.
But the basic story was an alien spaceship crashes in the Mojave Desert. You have these aliens on there, but it's a slave ship. So the majority of the aliens on there are slaves. There's some of the overseers are there, and they're obviously more technologically advanced than humans. But their ship's broken. There's no way to get these people home. There's no way to contact their people. And do we really want to contact their people? Because as technologically advanced as they are, they have slavery. They have enslaved their own people. So they're kind of in limbo for a while, and then eventually they get integrated into society. So you have humans running around, and you have what are known as newcomers. And they look like us, but they don't have any hair. They have kind of a bulbous head with some markings on it. There's some different things about them. They don't eat cooked food. They get intoxicated on curdled milk, and salt water will dissolve them like battery acid. And they're stronger than humans, smarter than humans. They breed faster than humans, and their children grow up faster than humans. And they are the newest immigrants, kind of replacing humans. So there's obviously there's fear, there's racism, there's all the things that go with a new group of people moving into town. So I think if they were to reboot this show and do it again with a more some more mature writing, I think it could be a really cool show. Yeah.
And as I recall, too, another great thing about that I did enjoy that movie and that series. But another great thing I recall about it is that the spots do go all the way down.
Yes, they go all the way down.
And I just remember the thing about the milk.
Yeah.
Similar fashion to the Trills, yeah.
Yeah. And similar to Romulans, they marry in three. Well, no, they marry in twos, but there's a third. Actually, it's very, very similar to that episode of Enterprise where they had cogenitor. Remember cogenitor?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah,
where there's a male, there's a female, and then there's a third sex that just like squirts an enzyme in there to procreate.
Yep.
Same thing. They had a third sex that did this basically the same thing, but. Yeah, it was a good show. I liked it.
It just goes to show that...
Now I'm going to rewatch it.
Yeah, just goes to show that there is no such thing as new ideas. They all come from somewhere else.
Yep.
Yeah,
okay,
true.
so we had one more donation from Daryl, and he says, question, what does a Romulan frog use for camouflage? Answer, a croaking device. God, Daryl, could you be any more white dad jokes today? I just...
Waka.
He made that donation to make that post just to hear me sound like a old white dad telling dad jokes. Okay.
Question: Is he maybe a little sauced up when he makes these donations with these jokes?
Well, he's a lumberjack out in the middle of nowhere building a log cabin in Canada somewhere. So maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
He's drank a little too much
Throwing back
syrup.
It's not that he's up early. He hasn't gone to bed yet. You know what I mean?
That's funny. Thank you for those donations, guys. That's quite a few in the last week. We really appreciate that. Keep those things coming. We're going to have a lot of fun with it in Vegas. We hope you can join us. That's first week in August is when STLV is, or we can't really call it STL. It's not really STLV anymore, is it? You got to call it something else.
No, it's like the 5-year mission
Creations,
or something. I can't remember.
Search for more money.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. I don't know if I had any emails. Do you have anything over the Facebook group while I pull up the emails?
No,
I don't think I have any.
No.
So nothing going on over there. All quiet on the northern front.
No. Yes. Yeah.
I'm not missing anything this week.
Well, there's a lot of memes and stuff like that, but
yeah.
I thought you were back.
I made a post one day. Yeah.
I thought we got you back.
No.
He's teasing us.
Yeah. I did get a new email from Joel, so we have started the game of chess.
The
game
chess.
of chess.
Yeah.
Joel from Chicago. It has begun, and he'll probably clean my clock. But anyway, let's see. Oh, we did get.
Excited for,
do what now?
You guys excited for Justice League this week?
Is that the Snyder Cut coming out on HBO?
Yeah, Snyder Cut comes out on Thursday.
Oh, on Thursday.
Yeah.
Well, I might actually watch it this weekend. Who knows?
4 hours.
Oh my Lord.
Oh.
I'll watch it in segments.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can tell you, I've been watching the new Superman TV show, and I've been watching
good.
it. Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
It's very good,
Yeah.
and I've been watching it with my son, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about that. You know, I come home from work, and I'm like, "Hey, buddy, there's a new episode of Superman," and whatever he's doing, he drops it, and we sit down together and we watch it. And
oh, that's great.
It is great because you know that's what I've been waiting to do with Star Trek, and
Yeah.
you know,
Well, you'll get to do that with Prodigy.
yeah, I guess.
I don't know. We'll see how. I mean, it looks like they're going to take a neat I don't know. I like the look of the character so far. So if the rest of it's stylized like that, then at least it'll be, again, that is one thing that we have to all give props to Viacom and the people behind Trek at this point, whether you love Disco or not. It all looks fantastic. Yeah. They've done that part of it. They have nailed throughout all of it. It looks gorgeous. Now, whether or not the ship should have nacelles attached or not, that's a whole nother subject. But
that's my one sticking point on aesthetics. Whatever.
So, did you see that Star Trek Online actually put out some details about what the Voyager looks like in the game in terms of updates?
Yeah, they're calling it the Janeway class.
Yeah, the Janeway class, and they actually made it look kind of pretty compared to the whatever the hell.
It's got like a lanyard on the back.
A lanyard.
So it looks like you can clip your keys on the back. It's great.
So
it does. You're right.
So it could swipe into the space station.
Yeah. You can just reach out with a grappling hook.
That bubble that they're hiding in. Yeah. It badges in.
So a couple of emails. It's kind of weird how I still haven't figured out where Chartable gets these chart things or whatever. Anyway,
we back in Romania?
No, actually, we're in Germany, and guess the ranking in Germany, and it's down 84 positions.
88.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, it's Germany. That's a huge market. Think Texas and two other states. That's a huge market.
Yeah, it's huge.
Number 210 during the week of March 8th.
Oh wow!
So what I have to ask though, there's another Trekcast podcast based out of Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how many of those clicks are accidental.
I don't know.
They're looking for that guy.
I don't know. Yeah. If you look at our stats over the last 2 weeks, we had this discussion kind of behind the scenes stuff here for a second, but we had this discussion about 2-3 weeks ago now about some of our numbers, and it was a little low there for a little while. Things kind of seemed like they were dropping off just a little bit, and I couldn't figure out why. But all of those numbers are back. All of every single one of those episodes we talked about where things were kind of low, and we're like, well, maybe we're talking about non-Trek stuff too much, yada yada yada. All of those have had a huge boost in views over the last 2 weeks, even though they're like a month, 2 months, 3 months back. Everything is well over that median range we were talking about. So I don't know if it was just some lag from the holidays and the start of the year and whatever else going on, and I don't know, maybe all of our listeners were in DC in January. Who knows? It can't be helped. It's just part of who I am. Anyway, so it's kind of interesting to see. We'll go over those later, but that was it on the emails. Well, we got an email from someone called Latha. It's a girl, and just looking at her little profile picture there, she's not looking for anything nice. So I'm going to delete that.
Or maybe it is
probably
nice.
is nice and velvety. So that's it for.
She's probably trying to reach you about your car's
that's
extended
probably
warranty.
what it is.
Probably.
That's probably what it is.
She's trying to get an inheritance, but needs about $50,000 from you first before she can get the inheritance.
She needs help with money.
That's how that
passport.
works. Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're ready to move right on into the topic, right?
Let's do it. That's why we did a show this week.
Talking about Star Trek in this week's topic. Talking about the Star Trek in this week's topic.
Okay. It's a big one, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
So, I got a couple things to say here to start this off. My little monologue here. We're going to be talking about we're going to be talking about Michael Chabon. Okay, and for those of you who don't know who Michael Chabon is, I'll just go through some basics of it. Okay, so Michael Chabon was born in Washington D.C. If that's the only thing you know about him, that's about all you need to know about him. So, but we'll go on. There's more. Secondly, he was hired to fix.
You can't help yourself.
No. Secondly, he was hired to fix the script for Disney's John Carter film. I mean, are we painting a clear enough picture here for Michael Chabon's creative skills? He was paid to fix John Carter's script. Holy shit. He joined the writing team of Star Trek Picard and was named showrunner in July of 2019, hence why we're talking about Michael Chabon, okay? So he's an executive producer for season 2, but not a writer, thank God. He says he has been a lifelong fan of Star Trek, but never wrote anything in or around anything to do with Trek until Picard, okay? So just keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
He is an author of several books that have been picked up for movies and series deals, none of which you have never heard of, and I'm not going to list them. So, I mean, I've never heard of any of them. Also, please only read this Medium post we're going to be talking about today about the Romulans. If you read anything else from Michael Chabon, your head will literally explode. And I know this because
I'm going to add it in the show notes so people can look at it.
Yeah, and I know this because I literally had my wife put my head into a clamp and hold it while I read a few of the posts so that my head would not explode because it was getting really close. So I suffered so that you don't have to, okay? Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this.
Oh, you should also mention he is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author.
Yeah, he's won awards.
He's won some big awards.
Yeah. Which anyway. So.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying he is very well decorated.
Yeah,
for
I say all this with a little bit of tongue in cheek. Okay, so I just want to be clear about this.
Right.
You know, part of what I like to do is read something and then rip into it as if I could do better. I can't. Okay, so otherwise I would have already, and I'd be making millions of dollars, and I'd be the Trek showrunner.
Well,
okay?
Welcome to every podcast
ever.
So,
with that said, take this with a little bit of grain of salt, because if you read this blog post about Romulan culture that he came up with, it's as if he made it all up, because he did.
Yeah.
If you really go back, and before I get into all this and we discuss it, if you really go back and think about how much do we really know in detail about Romulans, right? It's really not that. We know a lot, but it's not that much. It's not detailed. And one of the things, and here's my quick little monologue, and then I'll stop, and we can go over this train wreck all and break it apart. So, too many times we've seen writers in Star Trek lean on the sameness of a culture, as if Vulcans are all logical. Clearly, that's not the case. As if Klingons all have honor, and we know better than that. Not all Klingons are actually honorable, right? To see a particular race as a monolithic idea, as in it's one thing only, or a species for that matter, is kind of racist. So it's only fitting that we have started to see an opening up of these races or species with more nuance and details. It kind of started with DS9, right? Happened to our delight in Enterprise with the Vulcans? Not really. And is now really being dived into with all the recent series. Think the Klingons and Disco, whatever. So I'm actually all for it. Diversity is great. It's what makes America the most creative, productive, inventive society in the history of the planet. Okay, and you can say with factual evidence that diversity has made America great. Diversity in thought, religion, culture, food, music, etc. All of it. America and Americans are.
So we got crunch
That's
berries.
right. America and
Dan's just like, yeah.
Yeah, America and Americans are not a monolithic culture. We're not a monolithic society, and we're better off for that, right? And so, therefore, why would we ever think that all Vulcans are one thing, and all Klingons are one thing, and all Romulans are one thing?
This is how we got the audience in Germany, by touting America.
Yeah, so... So I think with that, though, there's a little bit of a problem with how the current guys are diving into that breakdown in those details, right? And this highlight in this little post he makes, which is about a 5-6 minute read, depending upon how fast you read, really highlights where some of those problems are with that. So with all of that said, that's kind of my overview of this, why we're talking about it, and my thoughts in general on really breaking down these races or cultures inside of Trek, and giving them some nuance, right? So go for it.
Yeah, basically what we're pulling from is Michael Chabon wrote a blog post on Medium, and kind of gave us the background on the Romulan culture. He says that the Vulcan culture is Klingon in honor. Romulan, the foundation of the Romulan society is secrecy, which is kind of what they alluded to in Picard, right?
Oh, and I get that.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, because every society has to be rooted in something. Now, what would humans be rooted in, right? If you're going to break it down like that, then what would the humans be, right? So if the Vulcans are logical, Klingons
Curiosity.
are honor, Romulans are secrecy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Curiosity.
Yeah, exactly. Humans would definitely be curiosity. So
Yeah.
yep, because I
We're
mean,
very exploratory.
very much so, more so than any other species in Trek, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's cool. That's cool that he's giving this background information.
Yeah.
This is something that in TV shows they call their Bible, where it's the background. You probably never really see it, but it's stuff for them to draw from for when they're writing their stories. So it's cool to have this.
Yeah, but man,
that said,
I hope
there
this
is some
isn't the
not
Bible.
cool stuff within it.
Man, I hope this isn't the Bible, because
Sweet Jesus.
Well, he's one of the executive producers of Picard, so I guarantee you this is the Bible.
no. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, so
Yeah.
far it's
I've
not.
heard that. genuinely.
Yeah. So far it's not. So far it's just his ramblings and his thoughts, and he's not writing for the show in season 2. So how much of this makes its way into season 2? None of it needs to, but okay.
We don't know if the Romulans are the big deal in season 2.
No.
It could be a whole nother thing. Season 2.
It could
Picard.
be.
Yeah,
It
it's
could
true.
be. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big,
Which would then make sense why he writes all this, because he just wants to get it out there.
yeah, get it off his
And then
chest or
move on
whatever.
to something
Yeah,
else.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, I mean, do we want to read this whole thing? Or how do we want to do this?
well, he breaks it up into paragraphs, and so what I thought is we could read one, say something about it, I can go through and kind of give on the longer ones kind of cliff notes about it instead of reading the entire thing.
Go for it.
So
Yeah.
So we already talked about the first one. Well, actually, this first one, I like this one. He says, 2 Romulans goes an old Romulan proverb, 3 conspiracies. Yeah, I totally, exactly. That sums up Romulans in a nutshell, right? As Vulcan, and he says this is what you said before. As Vulcan culture is rooted in logic and Klingon and honor, the foundation of Romulan society is secrecy. All that makes sense. So when you're reading this and starting off of it, he says it's condensed from various Starfleet intelligence analysis, accuracy unknown. Yeah, he's just making it up. He's not pulling any of this from Memory
Right.
Alpha. Okay, so just to be clear.
Yeah.
He says their culture is an endless series of variations on themes of concealment, the covert, the hidden, masks, pseudonyms, conspiracies, layers of deceptions, and cover stories. This all makes sense, right? So he sets it up as in, okay, great. Here's where it starts to go off the rail, all right?
Oh, so quickly.
So fast, right? We get like 4 sentences in. Traditional Romulan compounds,
Yeah.
Romulans live in kinship units. Okay, so now think of elves and trees. Are built at the center of a kind of hedge maze whose outer perimeter is often contrived to look like a natural grove of trees, as if within there were no houses at all. Okay.
Oh, this is why Garrick was a gardener.
Oh yeah,
If
if
a group of people are truly that distrustful, they're not going to live in groups.
Right.
They're going to live alone.
Yeah.
They're going to live alone unless absolutely necessary. So right off the bat, those two things are at odds with each other. Okay? And then, building something like that, building a community like that requires cooperation among a large group of people. If you're that distrusting of everyone around you, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you cooperate? And
I can actually break that down to 2 different things. Okay, so and this is just the tip of the iceberg, ladies and gentlemen. We're not even 3 paragraphs in yet. So, which is why we're having the show today, because this is just fascinating stuff. So, 2 things even bigger, I think, 2 things even bigger with that in my mind. Number 1, the resources needed to pull that off. If that is how every single kinship is set up, and he says right after this, he says, once you reach the house itself, you find a false front entrance. All Romulan houses are entered from the back. I don't know if that's supposed to be a sexual innuendo or what, but you can't.
Oh, now you're just reading too much into that.
I know I am, but you can't build a society that way. The amount of resources you would need to do that would just be astronomical.
Oh, yeah.
And then, now, the flip side of that, though, is one way you can kind of argue his point is Romulans themselves the Star Empire does not go and have other alien races just, become part of their empire. They just go and conquer their ass. And a lot of planets, they just turn them into slaves, okay? Thank the Remans. Thank the, there's a lot of scenarios where those alien races that they have underneath them are there to do Romulans' bidding. They're not there for any other reason. So their labor is cheap, right? And their construction and resources are probably fairly cheap as well. So they could get away with some of that, but not in this next statement. Even in big cities, modern housing mega structures have false front entrances and are surrounded by some kind of token or symbolic maze, often a pattern in the paving stones. No visitor to a Romulan compound must ever arrive uninvited. It's unheard of, and all visitors are asked to don a ceremonial blindfold, often of the finest materials, and are guided by their host into the compound after being turned around the ritual 3 times. It's the height of rudeness to ask a Romulan for his address. It's rude to ask a Romulan almost anything remotely personal. So yet again, we've set up a society that flat out can't function. How in the hell? I need to come over to your house to do repairs. Where do you live? I can't ask that question.
Yeah.
Here's my problem. As I read this, there were a lot of absolutes. Yep. All Romulans, blah blah blah. All Romulan houses, blah blah blah. All Romulan customs, blah blah blah. Just that's not real life. There's no absolutes. And this is when I started to think about that other show, Alienation. Okay, because I remember a scene where, the main character, who's played by I think his name is Gary Graham. Who he played Saval on Enterprise. Anyway, he's a police officer. He's a human police officer. His new partner is a newcomer police officer, and he has a new neighbor across the hall who's a newcomer woman who she's kind of good looking, and he's kind of curious. Even though traditionally he's been a bigot and doesn't like these people, he's kind of warming up to her, and he's curious. So he starts asking his partner about newcomer culture, and he's learning this stuff, and he goes to fix her sink or whatever, and he tries to impress her by talking about newcomer religion. And she basically turns to him and says, "Where'd you learn all that?" "Oh, I have a partner, and he's a newcomer." And she basically says the equivalent of, "Well, I'm Jewish." So none of that.
Yeah. Different thing.
He assumed, oh, they're all the same. But they're not, and she explains to him, no, just like you guys, we have hundreds of different religions, and this one's the biggest, this one's the next biggest, and there's a lot of smaller ones, and I remember thinking that's real. That's real.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have. You look at the Klingons. You can't have an entire society where everyone is a warrior. Right. Somebody has to grow crops. Somebody has to build buildings. Somebody has to be a doctor. Somebody has to drive the bus. So, this right off the bat, this whole sameness thing, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work.
No, it does not.
And only the Sith deal in absolutes.
Exactly. Only the Sith deal in absolutes. And the best barber I ever went to, he was a Sith barber. He wasn't a warrior.
Which is why you have no hair.
Which is why I really liked on Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine, they only showed him a couple times, but there was the Klingon restaurant, and there was the Klingon chef.
Yeah.
And he was a big fat Klingon who liked singing opera and throwing gok on your plate. And you know what? How many warriors has he slayed in battle? None. And it's okay. Yeah. It's okay, because that's not his job.
He slays the enemy of hunger.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. Hunger stands no chance.
Exactly. Klingon. That's funny. That's pretty good.
And they kind of did it with humans too. I think one of the realest episodes again was Deep Space Nine, when they showed you that Bashir's dad is just a lazy piece of shit.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
That was awesome.
I thought that was great because every other person that you meet, it's like, oh, he has, this is what he does, and he's the best at it, and this is what this guy does, and he's the best at it. And then we meet Bashir's dad, and it's like, well, he did some of this and some of this and some of this, and he wasn't good at any of it.
No, he's never really found anything he's good at.
And I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was great.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going down this thing.
Yeah, there's a lot here. So,
Yeah.
and again, some of this makes sense, right? I mean, you can kind of see where some of his thought process is coming from. It kind of stands to what we already know, but it doesn't really mean anything because this part he could just pulled right out of Memory Alpha or just gotten from watching one episode with Romulans in it, right? And he says Romulan's sense of privacy and secrecy is so powerful that a routine, polite inquiry such as "What have you been up to today?" or "How are you?" is indication of long acquaintance, deep connection. Even then, the answer is often a variation on "None of your business." The customary Romulan greeting translates as "I see nothing," to which the customary reply is "Nothing to see." And that all makes sense in terms of how Romulans treat non-Romulans. Okay, again, we get back to this monolithic thing here, but one thing that they have set up in Trek that we know for sure, that Romulans do not get along with very many other races. They just don't.
Right.
And they don't want to. They're very insular, and that is like the exact opposite trait of curiosity in terms of humans, right? They don't really have Romulans don't have curiosity because they instinctively see anybody asking questions as suspicious. So in that term, so that part I can kind of see. It kind of makes sense, but anyway. Then he goes on about Romulan government and makes it sound like they're all from Rome and are going to stab each other in the back constantly and never get anything done, which kind of sounds like...
Which I could see that.
Which kind of sounds like the Senate in Thailand. Have you ever watched those guys do debates and they literally start punching each other? And, so that's kind of on par. And I like this one, too. The highest Romulan art form is classical Romulan drama, a kind of elaborate theater of impersonation in which actors were intrinsically constructed layered masks. In the course of the dramas, which almost always deal with legendary acts of deception, treachery, and conspiracy, the performers remove layers one by one, altering their voices and body movements accordingly. I mean, could you just get any more over the top? But
so they're basically saying every play we have ends the same way. Every play we have has the same story and ends the same way. That's ridiculous. An art form like that would not survive. Art survives because people enjoy it, and that makes a market for it, for people to produce more of that type of art. If a type of music comes out and nobody likes it, guess what? They're not gonna make that music anymore.
In his defense, he does say the highest Romulan art form, and we still have plays, Shakespearean plays, that were written, a long, long time ago and are done over and over and over again, even though we know. I mean, how many times are we going to make a Spider-Man movie? We're still going to watch it, and we're still going to watch it. So, I mean, there is a little bit, and this kind of gets, Daniel, you know this better than Dan and I do, but I mean, there's only so many types of stories you can tell, right? And we've broken that down pretty well on this show before as well. So in Romulan society, if the highest form, because they're snooty, okay? We all agree that Romulans kind of have their nose in the air. They're the best. They're the brightest. They're the smartest. Everybody else in the universe is dumb.
It also depends on your definition of what the highest is. Do they mean like, what's considered the most lofty or the most, skilled? Like, you could argue, I don't know, ballet may be our highest form of art form just because it's so complex and takes a lot of skill. But, have you ever been to a ballet? No, I haven't, It's not the thing we do. It's not the highest thing, Well, yeah. So, same idea.
Yeah.
They probably, I'm sure there's a Romulan stoner film.
By that logic, then, the sitcom is the highest form of art because that's the one that the most people have consumed over the last 50 years.
Yeah, like I said, it's whatever your definition of highest is, right? Is it skill based? Is it audience numbers? It just depends, right?
I think the podcast is the highest form of art.
We are artists. We are artists. Okay,
indeed.
So as if all of that wasn't enough, here is where the crazy train starts to happen, and it just goes downhill from here. So legend holds that the basis of Romulan's fixation on deception and the hiding of secrets is the unusually high proportion of mimetic native animals, camouflage-using animals, and plants that the first settlers of Romulus found on arrival. Snakes that look like flowering vines, flowers like lizards, mammals that alter their coloration according to patterns in light falling on them, Best known of these to outsiders, of course, is the so-called warbird, after which Romulans have long patterned their military ships. The plumage of this raptor has unique optical properties that mimic the wavelength of ambient light, causing the birds to disappear against a clear blue sky, a phenomenon that is said to have inspired the most celebrated and most Romulan of all Romulan technologies, the cloaking device. Does he not remember where Romulus got their freaking cloaking device? Has he completely forgotten that? I'll tell you how he's forgotten that, because he doesn't watch Trek. He is not a Trekkie. He is not a lifelong Trekkie. He's never watched season 3, episode, 1 or 2, where Kirk becomes a Romulan because the Romulans suddenly have cloaking devices. And where'd they get them from? They got them from the Klingons. Why do we know they got them from the Klingons? Because their next warbird looks like a D7 battle cruiser, and they think it's the Klingons decloaking off the bow, but it's not. It's the Romulans. Okay, this comes from TOS in 69, for God's sakes. The Romulans did not make the cloaking device. They got it from the Klingons.
You sure?
I just watched the episode 2 days ago.
Isn't there a first season episode where isn't there a first season episode? Is it Balance of Terror?
Daniel's going to look it up for us while we're talking about it. Something seems off there to me, but anyway.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. So, but, I mean, sure.
The Romulan cloaking device was acquired by the Klingons.
Oh, the Romulan cloaking device was acquired by the Klingons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay.
Yeah, you cut it out. I didn't hear anything you said.
The Romulan cloaking device
was acquired by the Klingons.
Was acquired by the Klingons. So okay. So then why? And then maybe I'm off now. Why? Again, I'm demonstrating the fact that I am always wrong. Why in that season then did Romulans suddenly have Klingon battle cruisers with their warbird stuff painted on the bottom of them? Anyway, okay.
Yeah, that's from Memory Alpha.
Okay.
No, they didn't have battle cruise. Yeah, no, they had. Maybe it was the other way around.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not as versed in TOS as the rest.
Apparently, I'm not either. But then again, I just watched that episode the other day, and it just struck me as odd. And then reading that too.
What, if people are listening to this, tell us in the
Is he? Yeah, and is he right on that in terms of where they get all of their stuff? Does that seem like a good? I guess, man, in some ways that's fitting. I mean, we've got if you look at the sideline view of a stealth bomber, it does look like a Falcon in flight with its wings back and everything else. So I mean, there's a little bit of that, but it just gets better from there, ladies and gentlemen. So Romulans are addicted to cover stories. That's a one sentence he just throws in there for no reason. I don't know what that anyway. So
I like Kit Kats. So
yeah. So I'm going to skip down to the best part, and let's just get into the great part of it. Okay, so it's a culture of deceit and concealment. Trust is the ultimate bond, the equivalent to love in human culture. Romulan intimacy and erotics are centered around exchange of truths, reveals of secrets, and the ultimate commitment of revealing your innermost name to one another. The term for a Romulan wedding ceremony roughly translates as a terror and a name. A profoundly secretive ceremony, no guests, in which each of the three partners reveals their innermost name and deepest fear to the other two. Romulan marriages, the word translates as trust bond, are always threesomes in any configuration of genders, because at every moment, each partner in the marriage serves as a verificator to the other two. In the Romulan verb to verify is related to verbs meaning to police and to monitor. Verifying the trust bond of the two others who are known by a Romulan word that literally translates as conspirators. In practice, the threesome may or may not cohabitate or reproduce. There is great variety here. One interesting feature of Romulan culture is that a society so stratified, hierarchical, and rule-oriented, there are reports that there may be as many as 114 castes. Permits individual Romulans a considerable amount of flexibility and liberty in many social matters, such as sexual orientation, gender fluidity. There is no concept of adultery. Romulans may have many sexual partners outside of the trust bond. The great sin in higher caste punishable by death is the betrayal of a partner's innermost name and or secret terror. Marrying outside your caste is also forbidden by custom, and even marrying outside of your kinship network is frowned upon and socially unacceptable. What in the hell? That's a long paragraph. That's probably his longest paragraph.
That's a long paragraph
In this whole thing. But, I mean, he goes on about this. There's two more deals here about this kinship, this trust bond, this terror in a name.
This just makes me think every Romulan relationship is primed to be on Maury Povich.
Pretty much. And
because there's three of them.
And if you're me, my woke radar went up right in the middle of all of that, and that's where all that's coming from. And this gets to the heart of what I said at the beginning.
That's look how
that's exactly it. And this gets back to what I said in the beginning. Okay, I am all for diversity. Diversity is what makes us great. Diversity is what makes us better. Diversity is what gives us more inventive and creative lives and better lives, more productivity, all of that stuff, right? So I'm all for that. And I'm all for kind of the deconstructing of these races and these species in Trek, because like I said, they're all monolithic, and they're not, and that's not how things really are. There's just no way. So with that said, the problem that Disco has had in generating, and the problem that Picard has so far and is generating, and the problem that all the new Trek has that's generating is everything. When they deconstruct these things and they break them down into more details, everything must be filtered into that progressive view, right? It has to be, and it can't be anything else. So by nature of it, they're not doing it to be diverse. They're not doing it to bring in all these different thoughts and ideas. They're only breaking it down to funnel it into that one idea and that one train of thought. And I think that's a problem. I think that's a real problem, because they're, at the end of the day, they're not actually solving the problem. They're not actually creating anything more diverse. They're just putting it all in this one vein. And I know at one point, Daniel, you and I had a discussion where we were talking about Adira, right? And the scene with her and Culber, and they're talking about, you know, who she feels like and how she identifies and all those great things. And you made a statement, and you said, well, that scene really wasn't for you. It's not for you. It's for the people who feel like that. It's for the people who live like, who have, that's their life, right? And they identify as that. And that's great, and that's wonderful. And I'm fine with that. And that was a good point you made. My only issue is when everything in a show now becomes, well, it's not for you, it's for this group over here, then I can't identify with the show anymore, right? And I can't even identify with the characters or the races or the species or their thought process. I can't identify with it. No, I'm still here talking. Can you?
No, he's still here.
Both of you?
You're
lost you.
Yeah, we lost you for a second.
Yeah.
You lost me?
Yeah, you're there. You're there now.
What's going on? Because it's been choppy all morning.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying with that, Chad. I also think, like, back to Gene Roddenberry's day, his whole point was to do all this kind of stuff. So it kind of fits in line with Star Trek.
It does, yeah.
All that said, absoluteness of, like, every marriage is like this. Exactly. I recently watched the episode of Enterprise where Phlox is kind of flirting with that crew member, and everyone thinks that they're interested in each other. And finally, he just sits down with her and tells her, "Look, you got to know I'm married, and I'm married to, I have 3 wives, and they've got 3 husbands, and like, that all may seem strange to you, but that's my culture, and this is how I do."
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. I think that kind of stuff needs to be explained more in New Trek. They don't take the time to do that.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is, it's not so much that they're going down like that progressive thing. It's that they're going down that progressive thing, and everyone must be like that. Everyone must see it that way.
Okay. You know what? And this is where old Trek has handled these things better, because the flip side of that situation is one of Phlox's wives was on board the ship, and she was flirting with Trip.
Yep.
If you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
And eventually the conversation was had where, Phlox was like, "Yeah, that's my wife, but this is how it works in my culture. So that response was, yeah, but I'm not okay with that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not okay with that. Whereas if this was new Trek, he would have to be okay, and he'd somehow be a bad person for not being okay with it. That's wrong. That's wrong. Okay. People are allowed to have their feelings, and people are allowed to have their preferences.
Yeah.
And when you tell someone your preference is not okay, well, you know what? You're the one who's, I can't find the words right now. There's a movement out there. There's people out there who are telling straight men, if you won't date a woman who used to be a man, you're somehow a bigot.
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry. You have gone too far. You have gone too far. If a man only wants to date a woman who was born a woman, that does not make him a bigot.
Right.
That
It's
makes
preference.
him a man. That makes him a man with a preference. And
Yeah.
the idea that he's no good for that. And we're getting to that point where people, your preference is wrong. Your opinion is wrong.
Well, like, I won't date somebody who smokes. Sorry.
You're a smokist.
I know. Yeah.
I'll break it down this way, okay? Because this is my thought about this for a long time, okay? If you are for openness, if you are for inclusion, and you are for diversity, and you're for diversity of thought, and people shouldn't think negatively about your viewpoint because that's how you feel and that's your viewpoint, then the flip side of that goes the other way. Right? If I have to accept you for who you are, then you have to accept me for who I am. Right? It goes both ways, and that's where this stuff in Trek has gotten off the rails. It's stopped at some point where it can't go both ways. It can only go one.
You used a word there that has kind of changed. We used to preach tolerance. We used to say there's different kinds of people out there. There's people of different races, people of different persuasions, people who have, and you have to be tolerant of them, and you have to understand that they're different. We don't teach that anymore.
No, we don't.
They don't teach tolerance anymore. They teach acceptance.
Yep.
Okay. They say you have to be okay with what this person does, but that's wrong. That's wrong.
I see the look. I see the look on Daniel's face.
If there's people out there.
No.
To tell you, you can tell. Okay, and I'll give you an example. A person changes their gender. Okay. You can tell a person you have to be tolerant of that. You still have to treat them as a person. You can't deny them any rights. And I agree with, but you can't tell that person, and you have to believe that they made the right decision to do that. No, you can't tell someone what to believe. You can't legislate that someone believes something. And if you do, you're wrong. You're the oppressor at that point. You can tell someone you can't deny them rights. You have to treat them the same, and that's absolutely right. I agree with that 1,000%. But to tell someone you have to believe the way they believe or you're wrong. No, that's wrong. Did that come through?
Yeah, that came through great.
Yeah, that came through.
I think what's funny. I think what's funny is somehow we've managed to just bring this sucker full circle all the way back, and we're talking politics again. I mean, we can't help it. So
I think that
because Trek at its heart, and when it's the best, is political, right? Yeah. But it's political upstream of politics. It's cultural. Okay, culture is always upstream of politics. Okay, and so that's where all of this always comes back to, is that Trek itself has done a fabulous job for 55 years now of really confronting American society where it is in the moment, where the culture is in the moment. And I think where it's a problem right now is it's gone to, covering all of it and trying to include all of it in these different viewpoints, and just gone over here and stayed over here and not tried to cover all of it. But
see, and I would say I think they have done a bad job of being political in Star Trek, just from a writing standpoint. Like, remember when Picard first came out, they told us it was going to be an allegory for Brexit. I don't see how it was an
they also
allegory
said it
for
was going to be
Brexit.
a mystery. But that was
Right.
that was Patrick Stewart saying that.
Right, but they let him, and he was in the writer room, so like he knew what he was talking about. I just don't think they succeeded in what they were going for.
No.
Well, they also said nobody was going to be in it with him.
Right. Well,
yeah. Everybody was in it with him.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing happens in a writing room that happens with everything else. Your best laid plans only last until you execute the beginning of those plans, and then everything changes. Okay, and what you put down on paper doesn't necessarily come out on camera. So even if it's word for word, it just doesn't come out the same way. We've had that discussion before as well. So with that said, there's more in this. In this thing, I don't know how much more of this we really. I mean, it's starting to give me a headache, but
I think that's a good ending point for us.
He goes on about Romulan religion. He goes on about what is mainstream and not, and then he talks about the Quat Malat, which is one of the strangest things.
It's like 114 casts in their caste system. How does that even make any sense? How do you keep that straight?
Well,
yeah,
I mean, come on.
Well, the Bajorans had casts
too. Wait until you read more about the Quat Malat. So,
did they have 114 of them?
I don't think we got a number on how many of them. Sure, there's a number, and I don't know it, but whatever.
It is what it is. But Okay, so anything else you want to rip apart on that? Because we really ripped that about as good as we're going to rip it at that point. So one little piece of...
I'm still trying to figure out, like, when they're building their giant mega structures that they all live, like, show the blueprints to somebody, because if they're so secretive...
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, they make a kinship with somebody who can build stuff, I guess, and it's all just in their
I
head.
guess.
They're so smart. They don't need blueprints. They're that smart.
Yeah.
Okay, another note.
There's a lot more questions than answers here.
And what is if adultery is not an issue? What is a marriage then? Because at the base,
tax write-off.
I mean, a marriage is what's that?
Tax
write-off.
Yeah, I guess.
And it's not to create kids either. Like, I don't even know how kids function in a society like that, but obviously their brains are wired differently. So it is what it is. It's all make-believe. It's fairies and trees and gardeners and things like that. So with that said, another piece of news that I don't want to leave the show and forget to hand out. Actor Cliff Simon died this week at the age of 58. If you don't know who Cliff is, he played Ball in Stargate, and he was one of the best villains in all of Stargate in my mind, because even though he was a Goa'uld, he was so freaking human. This is an alien who loved human culture so much, he moved to Earth, set up businesses, and was making money as a capitalist. I mean, it was great. So, but I don't remember reading exactly how he died. He was 58, way too young. It's too sad. But I did like Cliff. So that's too sad. But anyway, for those of you that listen to the show that also listen to or watch Stargate, I know there's a lot of you. We've had those discussions before. So
that's right.
He will be missed.
I'll be respectful about Stargate right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Right now.
Right now.
That's
yeah.
me.
Later, you're going to rip the shit out of it. Thank you very much.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Next week.
You give him 7 days. 7 days of mourning.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I had anything else in that. I don't think I had any other little things I wanted to address. I think that was probably about it.
All right. Mm-hmm. With that, I will say Jolan True.
Jolan True, yep. Hello and goodbye. So, isn't that right? Hello and goodbye?
I think so.
It's both
I
of
don't
them.
know.
Kind of like aloha.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm picturing Romulans wearing flowered shirts. It makes me smile.
With board shorts?
That would make for a hell of an episode. You've got Garrick and you've got a Romulan. They're both wearing flower print shirts, and they're on a beach somewhere, and someone's coming by to try to pump information from them, and they just sit there and spin shit back and forth. By the time you're done, you can't even tell which way's up. That would be great.
Would Romulans wear cargo shorts?
Then they poison him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Would either one of them? Would Cardassians and Romulans wear cargo shorts? This is the question of our time, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we should be discussing and talking about. Would they wear cargo shorts?
But the pants, they would, except the pockets would.
Yeah. They would have to reach down inside of their pants. Yeah, exactly. There'd be false pockets on the outside.
Exactly.
They would have to reach down inside of their shorts to get to the real pockets to pull out and whip out whatever they wanted.
But now here's the real question. Are cargo shorts purse pants like that meme I sent you guys?
Oh, yeah. They are. They're man pants. They're man purses.
They're
into your
man
pants.
purses.
I mean, it's the evolution of the...
the evolution of the purse?
Well, it's the evolution of the purse, but it's also the evolution of that little pocket thing that Chris Pine's wearing in the latest Wonder Woman movie that he loves. That little
fanny pack?
Yeah, it's the evolution of the fanny pack. It's where the fanny pack went. It went into our shorts.
That might be the show title, the fanny pack.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. All right, well, that's our show. Thank you for coming. Follow us on Trekcast TNG on the Instagram, Trekcast TNG on Twitter. You can give us a phone call, 816-287-0448. Leave a voicemail. No one's going to answer that. It just goes right to voicemail with my beautiful voice talking to you, and then you can leave a voicemail, and we'll play it right here on the show. Just like I did the Home Depot guy about a month or two ago. And then, of course, you can always write us at trekcasttng@gmail.com. Or if you have comments about how I flubboxed the, where the Romulan cloaking device came from, you can email me at chatiswrong@gmail.com anytime, night or day. Those email inboxes are always open. And, of course, if you want to give us a donation and be so kind, you can go on over to the coffee account, KO-FI. Type that into your Google browser, and then after that, put Trekcast. It'll come right up. It's the first result. We have recurring donations over there to make it easier for you. Not that we're asking money from you every single month. We just did it to make it easier for you because we know we have several people that do that. So, and of course, make sure you subscribe here on the YouTube channel where this podcast is going to go up today. I've got the nice little subscribe now ticker thing flowing in at the bottom as well. So that's nice. With that said, that is all.
That's right.
And I've got a thing to play, but who knows where the hell it's at. Anyway, I'll just end with
Jalan True.
Yeah.
I'm only hard on you when you make me hard.
There you go. It was the first button I could find. And those cargo shorts with the Romulan in the
I thought you were going to end with Wesley.
Yeah, no, dancing DJ Wesley. Yeah, there's that too.
No, Wesley Snipes.
Well, I could, right? I could.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
There you go. That's where I'm ending the show.
That's it. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right.
As always.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Well, there you have it. Another episode in the can. Check us out at Trekcast.com. Also, if you would, please subscribe to us via iTunes. Leave those reviews. Subscribe to us. We get some numbers, get up the list, get more listeners, do more shows, have more fun. But for now, we're all done. So live long and prosper, and we'll see you next week.